My Survivor experience was everything I expected it to be. I'm so happy that I had the opportunity to experience it. I applied to this game 15 times, so it was like my biggest dream to be on Survivor. And I've been watching the show since first season. I was 23 years old when it first aired, and second season I went ahead and applied. Didn't know what I was applying for. I was just like, this game looks super cool, all the strategy. I wonder if I could do something like that. So to actually accomplish that dream and that was my bucket list is absolutely amazing. Um, I'm very happy with the way I played the game. I was honest. I was to the point. I said everything I wanted to say. I don't feel that I didn't sugarcoat anything. I was absolutely 100% myself. So I'm absolutely happy with the way I played the game as well. If I could have done something differently, it definitely would have been the last tribal council that I got voted off, and Michelle came to me with the ideal to vote off Dave. And she thought that maybe she could get Zeke to vote with her. And the only reason why I didn't want to go with that vote is because I didn't want to be the first person to flop from Gen X. And since I went to a tribe that had the only tribe out of three that had the majority of a line of Gen Xers, and it was 2 millennium, I'm thinking, okay, we got this. We got this to blow right out of the park. We're gonna be good. I didn't have anything to worry about. So when me, Chris, and Dave discussed, we was like, okay, we're gonna vote Michelle off. We lost the challenge. And I'm like, okay, I don't have any worries. But I did agree with Michelle that Dave was definitely the weakest person on the tribe. And he just was he was just laying under the radar. So that would say would be my biggest mistake. It's no guarantee that it would have worked because at that point when Michelle approached me about voting off Dave and saying she thinks she could get Zeke, Chris and Dave already approach Zeke and say, hey, we're going to vote off Michelle, vote with us, and, then you'll show your loyalty and, you could trust her. But little did I know, they actually were approaching Zeke and saying, hey, let's vote off CeCe. So it may not have worked, who knows, but that's the only one decision that I regret in the game is that because it did cost me being voted out. If I went with Michelle, I still may have been voted out, who knows. I think it was the stupidest mistake they could have did because you're toiling with the numbers. We already went into the swap with Millennium having 9 and us having 7. So with that, we're already on the outs we're in a minority. So if, in fact, millenniums keep winning and, because the other two tribes had the majority of the millenniums and, they keep winning, that's just going to dwindle the Gen X numbers away if they keep voting the Gen X out. So I just think it's a stupid decision that Chris and Dave made. And Chris is definitely going to be a target when the merge happens because he's a very strong competitor. I don't think he's going to get further than a jury. He may be voted maybe even first, second, or third, but I absolutely don't believe he's going to win. And Dave is just going to be taken as a GOAT. So, once they've accomplished everything they needed with Dave, and Zeke needed the numbers, so that's why it was smart on Zeke's part. I don't fault him at all. He needed to get somebody in his corner, so it was very smart for Zeke to go ahead and say, yes, Chris and Dave, I'll work with you. But I think once the merge happens, Zeke is going to be able to negotiate some of this millennium, and Dave necessarily he isn't needed because he's one of the weaker players in the whole the whole game. So it's no point in really he's just being strung along. So I think he's going to be voted out as well. I learned a lot about myself after, applying so many times. I feel that if I would have went on a game, if I would have went on the show in the beginning when I first applied, I wouldn't have been ready. I didn't have a lot of life experience. I was a mother and a wife, which is great, but I didn't have, I didn't do Spartan races. I wasn't as venturous. It was like, okay, yes, I love the game. I love the show. I want to do it, but I didn't do a lot. I didn't do a lot of life experience to actually prepare me. Like, being out there in the middle of the ocean, like that's the first time I was out in the middle of the ocean, like literally. Like I've been in pools, but never in the middle of the ocean. And I think if I didn't, do a Spartan race or something scary like that, that would have I would have been terrified. And I just did the best that I could. I went out there. I didn't say I can't do it. I never said I can't to my team. I said, I was honest with them. I said, I am weak in the water. I'm just learning to swim. And I was 100% honest. I didn't want them, having high expectations and it wasn't true. So I always been 100% with my team, say, hey, give me a land challenge. I'm your girl, but I'm a little weak in the water. But I never said I can't do it. I never said I won't do it. I never said no to anything that was presented to me by my tribe or by the game. I believe the game made me more tolerable. I mean, just living with, complete strangers that you never met until you start playing the game. And then the first night is like a cuddle fest with people you don't know because you're trying to survive the elements of rain and cold. And you're like, hey, I don't know you, but I'm about to put my arm under your bosom. And you don't know me, but you could put your arms around my waist and we're cuddling for 5 hours in the rain. It definitely made me more tolerable. Like, wow, I can let my guard down and people are not so bad. It's like, when it comes to surviving, people will help have your back. And I feel that there are a lot of great people in the world. The experience, this is something that you can't explain. It's like you have to just actually be out here in the elements to live it. And I lived out one of my dreams. It's a social game. It's invigorating. It's hard. It's sad. It's tough. It's every single sense and element and feeling you could think of just wrapped up in one show. So it just was an amazing experience. Even though I didn't get as far as I wanted to, I wouldn't change anything that I did, and I would definitely play the game again.